Jim Schlossnagle is the head coach of Texas A&M, and there have been rumors that he might take the job at Texas because Texas fired their baseball coach. Jim was asked about that by a great reporter immediately after the College World Series ended, and it was an awkward exchange.
Coach, with respect to the difficult outcome tonight, but with the rumors circulating today about a specific job opening, what do you have to say about your future in Aggie Land?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty selfish of you to ask me that question, to be honest with you. But I left my family to be the coach at Texas A&M. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job again, and that hasn't changed in my mind. That's unfair to talk about something like that. That'd be like you asking Montgomery if he's going to sign in the draft. But I understand you got to ask the question. But I gave up a big part of my life to come take this job, and I've poured every ounce of my soul in this job, and I've given this job every single ounce I can possibly give it. It's right that.
Right there. I mean, it's not selfish. It's what you have to ask. There's reports that Chris Del Conte is at the College World Series on a private jet to recruit this guy. You have to ask the question. This is not the first time we've heard a coach say something like that this year. I don't remember who the other one was, but it was during March Madness, I believe it was. This is part of the job.
I gotta say though, this is too on top of that. So you're right. Part of the job. These questions need to be asked. So I left my family for this job. That's also
what does that mean?
Inaccurate.
No, he left his family. He had to move all the way from Fort Worth to College Station, Texas. Well, there's no way you can move your family.
There's actually a backstory. He has been divorced with his wife since 2021. His son was attending TCU and his daughter was as well while he was coaching there when he took the Aggies job. So it's a weird thing to insert in there, and I don't know all the specifics of said divorce, but it's a weird thing to bring up. I left my family for that.
They could have transferred.
Those credits move.
Yeah.
Also, they're in college. Like you don't have to like coach at where your kids go to school.
It seems from this Reddit thread that I'm reading with a lot of Aggie baseball fans in it. It seems like there was a very bad divorce, and he had been beefing with the TCU AD as it was. So he was already kind of out the door.
Oh.
And to say, I left my family for this, I think is a bit of a hard-out quote. Based off of what I know, limited knowledge.
And that TCU AD that he was beefing with was the guy who got the job after Chris Del Conte left the TCU AD job to be the AD at Texas.
And the king of Twitch pushes back. He says, you don't have to ask it at the losing press conference.
Yes, you do.
Come on, Joe. That's a dumb take.
Yes, you do.
Okay, King. Let me help you with this. You're a college baseball coach. After yesterday's game, you're now irrelevant until next year. When am I ever going to ask you that question again?
Irrelevant is extreme, but you're not going to have an opportunity to talk to him.
Yeah, like they don't do any other press conference after that.
Exactly.
Like Texas A&M, maybe they will make him available in which he's going to deny the interview. That's why you have to ask it. And I understand, like, you don't have to understand this, but like I'll explain it for you. Most times when you put in requests for interviews, when there's rumors going around like this, they are going to deny you. They are not going to say they're going to take the interview because they know that's what you're going to ask. So they will preemptively deny the interview and deny your request.
Yeah.
This is your only opportunity because it's the only time that the coach is going to be available to the media.
It's a totally fair question to ask. And look, I can understand being salty about answering that. I don't even mind his answer.
I think his answer's fine.
I mean, it's a great answer. And that kid that asked the question, he did his job correctly there. Is it selfish? No, that's you're not supposed to go up there and say like, hey, coach, do you need a pat on the back? Hey, coach, do you need a hug? Like, that's not how it's supposed to go. And this is the problem with the college coaches who all become little mini despots living in their bubble, is that they get really upset when somebody dares to ask them a question that questions them. Sorry, if you work in a real city, then you're going to get questions like that all the time, and it is a matter of how you handle it. I get it. It's college baseball. And yes, of course, you're going to be upset in the moment. So I have no issue with the way that he answered it. But that question should have been asked because that was a big rumor. And now it's on the record. And if he ends up being hypocritical, oh boy, I wonder how the Aggies handle that.
And that's the thing, too. That's why the question is important. Like, I understand, like, this might be a triggering topic for some people, it seems. But that's why the question is important. Because to me, when college coaches go up there and spout this nonsense and then they leave, they deserve to be criticized for that. I hate when a coach goes up there and says, this is my home. This is where I belong. I'm an Aggie. And then 5 hours later, he's the University of Texas head coach. I think that's cowardly, the way they handle that stuff. And it happens all the time. And that's why you have to ask the question, is because of the actions of coaches in the past.
Jim Schlossnagle, the head coach of Texas A&M baseball, who was a little salty when asked if he's potentially taking the Texas job at his press conference after Tennessee took down the Aggies in the College World Series last night 6-5. Did you know that while at TCU on May 24th, 2021, he was asked about the A&M job? Do you know what he said, Joe? Quote, I have no interest in any other job, end quote.
Oh, shocker. We're having this argument with the Twitch, and like they're arguing that the fans don't care. I guess I strongly
Aggie
disagree.
fans don't care. Fans of Texas do care.
I think Aggie fans do care.
I think Aggie fans would care if their coach left.
The Aggie fan, like TCU fans, I bet you if you looked at this story and looked at the replies, all would be like, that's my coach. He's not leaving. And then, they get pissed after when he actually leaves. But I think the teams that like you root for, you do care.
The people who are pushing back on whether or not you're allowed to ask the question, I think, are looking at it through these lenses. I think you're looking at it from the perspective of, well, the only people who are going to be asking Schlossnagle, I have to read it every single time I see it, these questions should be people who cover the Aggies. And you're going to ask Aggie-focused questions. Well, this is somewhat Aggie-focused, but at the same time, if you are somebody who covers Texas baseball and you're at the College World Series, this is question number one that you have to ask, no matter how awkward it is, and they got an answer. And we'll see if he actually stays true to his word.
The reporter who asked is a reporter who works for TexAgs.
There you go.
Because they think it's important to their readers.
Yeah, yes. He apparently he actually ran it by Billy Lucci. It was like, can I ask this question? And Billy Lucci said yes. They should have asked King of Twitch if it was okay to ask, but they just I guess he didn't text back in time or something.
I think it is so soft how protective people are being about asking that question right after a loss. Guess what? Questions like this get asked after losses all the time because generally at the end of a season, change is coming, whether it's in the roster or it's in the people who were there. Yes, it sucks to get asked that question right after an L. It does. But it's not like these questions should be out of bounds, I think.
Yeah, like King of Twitch says, and I agree with this. He says the guy just put his heart and soul into coaching and a team loss. You don't see it as a little subhuman. Okay, here's the thing. I get where you're coming from. Okay, he just lost. It sucks that you have to be asked that question, but it's part of the job. It's part of the job. It is the only job in which this happens, of course, but it happens everywhere. It's whether it's pro, college, high school, this is what happens. Maybe it shouldn't happen this way. You can make that argument, but this is the way it works. When your season ends, you get asked tough questions.
Yeah.
It should not matter when your season ends. If they didn't make the playoffs, they would have asked this question. If they would have won the College World Series, they would have asked this question. When your season ends, these are the questions that get asked.
Hey, Coach, I hope you're in the right mental headspace to ask this question because mental health is what's most important here, and you don't have to answer this. But you might leave in the middle of the night to our biggest rival. Thoughts?
Here's the thing. He did preface his question in a way where he was trying, I think, to be empathetic to Schlossnagle, whose name is... I'm sorry, it's funny to me. 832 texts in a fair question, but not 20 minutes after losing the championship. You don't ask a widow at the funeral if she's now available to go out. I've seen Wedding Crashers.
An extreme example, but
Chaz and Wedding Crashers would beg to disagree, but I think that's also totally different. Look, they lost. No one died. Brad's got a thought. 713-780-3776. Brad, what's up?
Guys, when was the last time, and by that I would mean the first time, that any coach ever answered that question with, yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm packing my bags and getting ready to go now? Nobody ever answers that question. It's
Cole?
stupid to ask it. Who ever answered that question? Ever?
It's a good point, Brad. I would say the closest that we've seen is probably when Garrett Cole was asked about his future while wearing a Scott Boras hat after the 2019 World Series.
Then all you guys just think they need to cancel the press conference, okay? Because that's the thing. Then tell your soft coaches to hide, because like you get mad like the media or people asking questions. But what about the coach in the women's tournament this last year who got forced to go up there to the podium, who had already been fired? So the first question was, what do you think about your future here? And she goes, I won't be here. It happened in the men's tournament too. So like maybe the issue is the schools and the fact that they're holding these press conferences. But then what you guys would say is these coaches are cowards when you're not being little fanboys over them because they're hiding from the media. Like, that's the difference. It's part of the way it works. You get asked questions about the future of your job at the end of the season, whether you win or you lose. That's what happens at the end of a year press conference. Plain and simple.